welcome to the debut of our Dynasty series here on EA College Football 2025. It is finally here. Now, I will admit I've been playing it for an entire week now, but I wanted to wait until day one so we could have some slider sets out, we could have some patches out, and we could have some updated settings on how I like the game to go. I am going to be playing it on All-American. I have a slider set that I saw I'm potentially going to be inputting. I'll have the coaching XP speed setting to slower, so not the absolute slowest, but the second setting up from that. And everything else I'm going to leave pretty typical. 10-minute quarters, accelerated clock, 15 seconds minimum. Makes the games go by a whole lot quicker, but I still feel like it's going to be a realistic type of simulation. And here, we're not going to make any adjustments for year one, at least. I want to kind of have that, realistic feel. So we're going to be the same conferences in real life. And then it's going to have its own, invites. If a team does really well in a smaller conference, like Troy ends up doing really, really well, maybe one day they'll get invited to the SEC. But if you haven't seen my post, I've already announced what the team is, and I'm sure you've seen it by the thumbnail and title of this video. But we're going to be rocking with the Appalachian State Mountaineers, a 78 overall, 77 offense, 79 defense. They run a pistol offensive scheme. We'll see how that playbook goes. If it doesn't really go all that well, we might not end up running with that because I kind of like a shotgun-heavy scheme. And then they run a 3-3-5 defensive scheme. Now, the Mountaineers, the reason I selected them is because they're a perennial trap game team. They always match up against a few ranked teams every year, and they play them really difficultly. But they've never been much more than that. They've had a few really good records, in the lower conference that they are in the Group of 5 conference, which technically doesn't exist anymore. But they've had a few good seasons. They just haven't ever been good enough consistently to get an invite to a bigger conference. And that is our plan here, to take a team that isn't the absolute worst, isn't the absolute best, is probably on the lower end of mid-tier, and get them some recognition, get them some sustained success. And it's going to be a lot harder said than done because they have a lot of graduating seniors going to be starting this first year. So yeah, we might have a really good first season, but going forward, it's going to be very difficult to keep this team in a good spot recruiting and overall wise. Obviously, here's the new one of the new options here when you start your dynasty. You're going to have a choice between motivator, recruiter, and tactician. I'm pretty much always going to go with recruiter, but for this series, I will be going with it for a reason, because former players have a very, very good opportunity at being very good recruiters. And you might be wondering, former players. Well, for anybody that has watched my South Carolina dynasty, in year 3, we won the national championship against Ohio State. Our starting quarterback, Julius Canary, was a former walk-on JUCO transfer, and he led us to the national championship, was able to have a very good season. Unfortunately for Julius Canary, didn't really have too much success outside of that year at South Carolina. He wasn't able to make it in the NFL. He bounced around a couple practice squads, kind of sat on the bench a little bit as a, and he was from Georgia. He kind of sat on the bench as a Chase Daniel type backup for a few seasons, but he really, really needed to get back into football, and that is why Julius Canary is taking over as the head coach. He's had a couple of high school coaching jobs. Now he's moving up to the big leagues. He is taking over as the head coach of the App State Mountaineers, trying to lead them to the promised land a few years down the road. Building a dynasty is the biggest priority for Julius Canary, as I got to find somebody that looks like him. Julius Canary was kind of weird looking. You guys know NCAA 14 players, especially recruits, they always look 90 years old. I think that's probably going to be the most accurate look because he had a shaved head, or maybe even something like one of this. This is probably going to be the best look for Julius Canary. I think he was like 6'2", 175. He's a pretty big quarterback, but he couldn't move. And we're going to hope that Canary or JK can become a Hall of Fame quarterback. So let me know starting out, what are your expectations for this team to begin the series? As you can see, they've had a good amount of success since they, been back since 2004. 12 win season, 14 win season, 13 win season. I don't remember when they joined the FBS. I know it was between NCAA 14 and now because they weren't originally in NCAA 14, but 2007, 13 wins in FCS, 11, 10, 8, 4. Then I think they may have joined it this year. So 7 wins. First year they get 11, second year 10, third year 9, back up to 11, back up to 13, back-to-back quadruple Sun Belt champions. Get a 9-win season, get a 10-win season. Then they go down 6-6 and then 9-5. But they haven't really jumped up much outside of those 10, 11-win seasons. They haven't been able to get that sustainably enough to move into a better conference. So we are going to hopefully build this team to the point that we will get invited to a better conference as we get a look at the top 25 here in the preseason. I don't know if it shows you all 100 like it used to. No, it does not. We're not up there, obviously, as we see the other teams that received votes. Auburn was just left out. Iowa, Wisconsin, all of those teams left right outside of the top 25. That is the media poll, coaches poll, looking about the same here, and Louisville is right there at number 25. Now, the Mountaineers are an interesting team. Obviously, if you guys caught my live stream, I talked about them a little bit, but I did at the beginning of this episode as well. They've got a lot of seniors and older guys. Joey Aguilar, very good quarterback. He's an 85 overall, field general, but don't underestimate his speed. He's got sneaky speed at 81 and 84 acceleration. He's agile, good change of direction. He's got a 90 throw power, 92 short accuracy, 86 medium, and 90 deep accuracy, and 83 on the run. That is just really good. But we only have one season with him, so we need to play him. We need to take advantage of having him to kind of establish ourselves as a top team in the Sun Belt, or reestablish ourselves as a top team in the Sun Belt. But after that, we don't have much behind him. Billy Wiles is the backup at a 75 overall, very slow. Zach Phillips is interesting. He's a 72 overall. He's got a 78 speed, 85 acceleration. He's just a sophomore out of Irmo, South Carolina, and he's got some decent stats, so I think he will definitely be a contender for that starting job. But we also have a few guys down here. Matthew Wilson from Rock Hill, 63 overall. So our quarterback position is pretty strong. The rest of the team needs a little bit of work. Starting running back is a senior, Mikkel Haywood, a 77 overall, not exactly the fastest, not exactly the most agile, but just a good all-around running back. He's got a good carry and good vision. He's not going to break a whole lot of tackles, but he's an okay catcher out of the backfield. He's going to be an okay starting running back for at least a season. I'm pretty excited for Kanye Roberts. I think Kanye Roberts definitely could compete for starting job this season already. He's a 77, same overall, faster, more agile, a little bit stronger, a little less on the carrying, and the vision is the main thing, but he's going to break tackles. He's a better catcher. I think Kanye Roberts is going to get some serious playing time in this offense, and then after that, we've just got the rest of this team. Our power back, Anderson Castle with an 82 strength. We've got Amani Marshall, a senior down here, not going to do too much for this roster. And then we've got a couple of freshmen and a redshirt freshman, Jalen Calhoun. We're probably going to try and get him in on the kick return at a 91 speed and a 92 acceleration. Receiving wise, we've got Caden Robinson, 85 overall senior, 6'2", deep threat out of Asheville. He is going to be our guy to go to in this season. Him and then our second receiver, Christian Horn, make up a very good senior duo. Both of them deep threats. Christian Horn out of Columbia, South Carolina, so a local to where I live. 90 speed, 92 acceleration, 84 catching, 83 catch in traffic, and 84 spectacular catch. After that, though, it's a big drop-off. Dalton Strawman, Michael Hetzel, a couple of juniors. Then we've got a bunch of freshmen down here. Grant Tucker, William Foles, Doug Meadows, Franklin Barrett, a couple of really bad receivers down here at the bottom of the roster. So we're definitely going to be going after athletes or after skill positions here in year one. We've got a couple of good tight ends, though, so not a immediate need. We've got a 79 overall senior who can play good this year, then hopefully a 79 overall who can play better next year, and then we've got a couple of young pieces down here at the bottom, a few freshmen and sophomores there as well. Offensive line, not the strongest. Left tackle starts to 74 overall. 86 for the left guard. That's not too bad. 70 at center is not really all that great. 73 at right guard. 73 at right tackle. So we're really going to have to focus on making this offensive line better, because even with Joey Aguilar, it's going to be very difficult to win games with the offensive line getting obliterated like they probably will. And the same thing goes for the defensive line. Not very strong. Sean Collins, 77 overall, is our best defensive end there at the left end. Right end, we've got another good defensive end, a senior as well, and Michael Fletcher. Sean Collins is a junior, if I didn't mention it. So we're gonna have to go after some D linemen. Defensive tackle, very weak. Marcus Clark, 75 overall junior. And then we've got a sophomore, a freshman, and a couple of upperclassmen as well, and Montez Kelly and Donald there down at the bottom. But we've got some good athletes here at the linebacker position. Sophomore Nate Johnson, potentially one of the better players on defense. He's a 78 overall, still going to have 3 full years counting this one. But he's got a 77 speed, so not the fastest. 84 acceleration. 77 agility, so he's not the greatest, most athletic guy, but he's pretty strong, good awareness, a good tackler. He's got decent power. I mean, I think he's going to be pretty good with his zone coverage there at a 73, but do not sleep on the upperclassman behind him, Thomas Davis. He is faster, more athletic, better change of direction, slightly better tackle, slightly better power. I mean, he looks pretty good as well. We're going to have to try and get him on the field. He's one of our few Georgia guys, or a couple of Georgia guys on the roster as well. Middle linebacker, Broderick Gooch. He's 74 overall. What a name. Sophomore. Not very fast, but he's got a good acceleration, so I'm excited to see how he can perform. This is the rest of the middle linebacker group. Not the strongest, but we've got depth. I think that's good. If Gooch goes down, we've got Kyle Arnholt. We've got Daryl Farber, Jaden Bethea, a couple of freshman and sophomore there, and then a junior to kind of get some experience. Brendan Harrington, going to be the leader on this linebacker core. He's a 78 overall redshirt senior, so he's one of the oldest guys on the team. He's been around for a while. He's very fast, 86 speed, 92 acceleration, 83 change of direction. Very excited to see what Brendan Harrington can do. And he's pretty good in pass coverage. I mean, 69 man, 81 zone is pretty doggone good for your Mike linebacker, so I'm really excited to see what he can do. I think he's going to be a big leader for this defensive unit. Ethan Johnson leading the cornerback group. He's not the fastest, but he's still got decent speed, 88 and 92 acceleration. Man coverage is 78 and 82 on the zone coverage. And below him is Seth Robertson, 74 and 76. Trenton Allen Yo, a junior, 75, 77. So we're going to have to replace a couple of these top guys, seniors. We've got Elijah MC Cantos. Not the greatest zone, but he's a very good man-to-man coverage, and he's very fast. So a 93 speed, or 98 speed, 93 acceleration. I'm excited to have him as that guy there. Free safety definitely needs improvement. Two strong, or, okay seniors, Miles Farmer and Ronald Clark. And then after that, we've got a lot of youth. But not very talented youth. Strong safety is a bright spot as well. Jordan Favors, we're going to have him for 2 years, hopefully, as long as he doesn't do too great. As long as he doesn't leave for the draft, I should say. He's very fast, good man coverage, a pretty good zone coverage as well. And he's, just going to be able to run around that secondary in the back, top of that secondary and kind of play like a hot kicker. We've got a senior and a freshman, Michael Hughes. Freshman is a 65 overall Jackson Moore. Hopefully he can get better. And then our punter is Mitchell Lake, a sophomore, and he's actually from overseas, so we'll have to see how that does. As far as red shirts go, I don't know if we really have anybody. We're going to have a few guys that we're going to redshirt. We're going to have a redshirt Matthew Wilson. Don't really expect him to get a lot of playing time anyways in this series, but, we're going to need depth, and I think it's a good way to keep depth by redshirting guys. We're just going to redshirt a lot of these lower overall freshmen just because they're not going to be playing, so why not redshirt them, give them an extra year to get better. And 57 overall is not very strong, so give them an extra year to get into the 60s, and maybe they can crack the rotation at one point. Kendall Farmer is going to get redshirted there. We're going to leave him because we want the depth. We're going to leave him. He's a sophomore, not very realistic. Down here, we'll redshirt both of these bottom guys just because we want to have them here for as long as possible. And we'll redshirt Trey Linhart, but if for some reason the strong safety gets injured, we're definitely going to unredshirt him because I do not want a 56 overall playing. And you can play 4 games and still redshirt. That's a good thing this year that they added back. So I'm pretty happy with that. Custom schedule. This is what our schedule is going to be looking like. We're going to start the year off against FCS Midwest, the Coyotes, I believe. And then we're going to go up against Clemson, at Death Valley, East Carolina. And then we get into conference play. South Alabama take on Liberty, Marshall, Louisiana, Georgia State, Old Dominion, Coastal. We get another bye week. James Madison, Georgia Southern. And then we get into the Sun Belt Championship. So hopefully this should be a reliably, decent schedule for us here in year 1. I will say, we could easily win 90% of the games on this schedule, but it's not going to be easy. You've got teams. East Carolina had a really good season last year. They lost their starting quarterback, but they had a really good year. South Alabama had a really good season last year, 10-3. Liberty's very good. App State. Marshall had a really good year last year. Louisiana, maybe not so much. Georgia State, maybe not so much. Old Dominion, not so much. Coastal Carolina's a good team. James Madison, one of the best teams in the conference, and they're a new team. So it's not going to be easy, even though we may have a slightly better overall than a few of these teams. But we're pretty evenly matched with the rest of our conference. So we need to kind of make ourselves stand out, and we're going to have to play really hard in order to do that. And the main way to do that is have a good first year and get some really big recruits. And that is where this entire new recruiting system comes in, because we are not going to be a major recruit destination. We have guys who are going to be interested in us, like this 4-star tight end, Jonathan Doss. We're definitely going after him. He's from Charlotte, so he's a very close guy. But we're going to have 2 stars and 3 stars are really going to be our bulk of our class. There's not going to be a lot of guys that are super duper interested in us, unfortunately, and that's just going to be something that we have to play around with. They really emphasize making it difficult to get these really good players over onto small schools, and we're going to have to work with what we have. We don't necessarily have a lot of very, very talented guys immediately available or, immediately interested in coming to play for us. Here's a good athlete that has us at 4. That's going to be a guy we're definitely going to send the house on as we try to not go after anybody that is too awful. Here's a few guys that look pretty decent that have us interested. Not even going to go there because he already has everybody on his board. A 2-star scrambling quarterback, maybe not really what we're looking for, but you've got to work with what you have, and it's going to be very difficult. They really, really emphasize making recruiting much harder. So we may not want to start that 2-star quarterback, but we're going to have to go after him because we need the depth. And who knows, maybe he's going to end up being a really good prospect. I'm not going to make you guys watch all of this. I'm just going to go through this, and if anybody stands out, you guys will see it in the video. So I went through, scouted up everybody that I could. We don't have a lot of points. We're at a much smaller school, so our time available is going to be, less than it would be if we were at like an Alabama or something. And a lot of these guys, not very good. We didn't really find too many gyms. I think I found 1 gym. I found a couple of busts, but I did find a gym in Connor Naw. He is a 3-star strong safety. We're currently 4th on his board. Hopefully us getting in early can kind of jump us up, I'm hoping. But it's going to be a bit of a leap there. And yeah, not a lot of strong candidates. We've got a 4-star. We offered him, but I mean, he's got a lot of big schools offering him. South Carolina, Marshall's a little bit bigger than us. UK, Kentucky, that's, Virginia, Clemson's going to probably offer him. So he's got a lot of talented teams offering him, so I don't blame him if he doesn't come to App State. But we need to jump on some of these really talented guys right now before we get too far into the season, and which is why I'm going to be offering these scholarships to them, because they will hopefully recognize that we're offering them early, and then they'll take that even more seriously. Even that guy, he's a bust, and we're still going to offer him a scholarship. We're going to pretty much offer most of these guys scholarships to start out, and I'm probably going to go in and add a few more prospects. So let's just see from my pipelines, anybody who doesn't have offers yet. This guy we are not going after, so we're definitely going to go after him. He's we have him 5th on our list. So that's an interesting guy that we should be able to potentially make a play on. Best case scenario, we just put a little bit of time in him and see if he's interested. This guy is not interested in us at all. But we've got a couple of 4-stars. We're going to go after them a little bit. Not going to, milk or put a bunch of points into their recruitment because it's not very likely. But there's no harm in offering a scholarship and just seeing. There's no harm in engaging interest. We're going to go ahead. Honestly, right now, we've got the points. We're going to offer as many people scholarships as we can. We've offered enough to fill up half of our class right now, but we desperately need a good class, I will say. And yeah, we're going to offer all of those people scholarships. And that is where we will get into, let's not simulate to the first college football playoff poll. That would not be very fun if we miss the entire season. That's where we're going to get into the actual recruitment thing. But I'm not going to bore you guys with watching that for an entire time. This was just meant to be an introduction episode to the series App State, and it's going to be a very, very fun Dynasty. I've got a lot of big plans for it, so let me know what your prediction for our record this first season is. Make sure to keep an eye out for my channel going live because I'm also running another Dynasty with the Kansas Jayhawks on live streams every once in a while. So just make sure to keep an eye out on that and come hang out and watch that one. I hope you all are excited for this series. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a really fun opportunity to take over a team in a game like this that, so far the gameplay has been so just realistic and fun to the college football environment. So I'm really happy and excited for this series. Hope you guys are as well. And make sure to hit the like button, turn on post notifications so you can stay up to date as this series moves on. I'll catch you all next time. Peace out, everyone.